when you say, do you know God? Do you have anger? Do you know yourself? Explain to me a little bit about what you actually mean when you ask these questions.
I don't mean anything, but what I'm trying to do is to encourage them to really think about what they really have heard in life and what they really know to see if they really know what they believe that they know. A lot of people believe so many different things about God and about life and about certain things that they have been taught
Mm.
either from their parents and from their schools and from preachers and others. And those things are not working for them in their lives, but they won't even pause, even the Christians or the Jews or the Allah or Abba people, the Catholic.
The what people? Allah
The
Waba.
Allah or Abba people. They, they don't they don't really, most people don't examine themselves to see if what they know to be true. Do they know it for themselves or do they just believe it because someone said it? So when I ask those questions, I I hope for them that they will really examine themselves to see what they know. For example, most people or a lot of people believe that they believe in God.
Uh-huh.
They really believe it. They think that when they're praying to God. And they think because they read the Bible, they know the scriptures, and they can quote them back. They believe that they believe in God, but all they have are ideas about God. And ideas about God is not knowing God. Read a book about God is not knowing God. But they want to examine to see, do I really know God?
Mm.
Or do I just believe it? And if I know God, why am I so miserable? Why do I have fear and doubt and loneliness, suicidal thoughts, and all these different identities that I identify? They won't question it because the preacher or someone told them, "Don't worry about it. You're just a human. You'll be happy when you go to heaven." But they don't realize that you can have perfect peace right here on earth. You don't have to wait to die. And so I try to ask the questions in a way where they would do self examination so that they can start to overcome the illusion, the knowledge of what is right and connect with what is right. But most people they really don't know themselves at all.
So for example, I haven't been a Christian for as long as a lot of the people who would be watching right now, and definitely not yourself either. But
Right.
one of the things that I've focused on over the last few years is really understanding, for example, logic and the ideas and the arguments for God. And I think that that's what you're kind of referring to. It's like that I can understand the things that I've consumed, that I've been taught. But in
Yeah.
terms of like an interpersonal relationship with God, I actually met a priest called Josiah Trenham, who's from California as well, and he gave me this advice. He said, you're all up here. You know a lot of the logic about it, and you can make arguments. But in terms of here, in terms of the actual living out the life and going to church and prayer and these sorts of things, you need to work on that. So that was the advice that he gave me. Is that what you're sort of getting at in terms of knowing God, taking it from the brain to the heart, or something else?
When you excuse me, when you hear the knowledge of God, knowledge is good to hear about it about him, but you're not supposed to hold on to the knowledge because knowledge will keep you away from understanding. Knowledge deceive you to make you think you know God because you know about him. But if you hear the knowledge and let it go in and out, in one ear and out the other one, and keep your glass empty, then knowledge, the understanding will come and it will reveal to you God, the truth, and how to really overcome.
But can you
But
know without knowledge though? How can you have understanding if you don't initially have knowledge?
as long as you hold on to knowledge, you would never know God. You would just have the knowledge about God and you'll be stuck and nothing would change. But you can only know God with understanding. You have to have, otherwise, you're not going to know Him.
What's the
And
difference between knowledge and understanding exactly?
knowledge is about thinking, it's about ideas, it's about thought. Understanding, there is no thinking, there are no ideas, there are no plans, there are no wants or desires. It's just life, and you see it's like the light unto your feet. You just see how to live right in the present without thinking about the past or future or any what if. To a no thinking life is a perfect way to live. A thinking life is a knowledge life, and you suffer, and that there's no life in that at all. It's only death.
But
Only
if I'm speaking to somebody else and we both say, I understand God and I understand God, and my understanding of God is that it's Allahu Akbar people, and the other person's understanding of God is, the Christian God. How do we know who understands that, like whose understanding is correct?
when you walk by the light, when you walk and stay present instead of in your head thinking about the past or the future, or or you want this and you want that, you think you know what you want, you're going to know without even trying to know if another person know God or not, and they would know if you know. They would see that. You would see it without your effort. It'll be clear, and you would never argue with another person about God anyway. God is not created for you to argue about him. Either you know him or you don't. Either you love your thrills or you want to overcome your thrills. But you would never try to prove God to anyone.
So you don't think there's a room for debating in terms of Christian apologetics?
There's a room for discussion as we are now, but there's never room for debating God, because you can't prove God to another person. You can't convince a person that God is exists, because if you do and they believe it because you said it, they're going to still be stuck with knowledge, and they're going to believe that God exists because someone said it, not because they see it for themselves.
I understand that there's a difference, obviously, in terms of actual knowledge, in terms of head knowledge, and in terms of being studious about it, and then in terms of experience. However, for me, for example, one of the reasons why I wasn't a Christian earlier, or why I never sort of lent into Christianity and why I thought was stupid, because I used to work at a Christian organization for a few years. And I
Yeah.
was one of these like atheists saying, oh, you believe in a sky day, and saying all of these ridiculous things. Nobody ever had an answer for me. Right. So I would say, you really believe that this guy walked on water? You really believe he did all these miracles? You really believe this guy rose from the dead and that this happened 2000 years ago? And you just sort of base your whole life on that. And people would say, yeah. And I'd be like, why? Give me a justification. And nobody could ever provide me with a justification. So I never went into it. But then a little bit later in life, I met my friend Steve Shavura. He's a very prominent Australian historian. I respected him a lot. And I was asking him, what do you think it takes for a young man to live a righteous life? And he said to me, follow the work of Jesus Christ. And I was a bit taken aback by that, because I was like, this guy's really smart and he's telling me to look into the Christian stuff. So then I started looking into it. And then I had a few more Christians come into my life who I respected, and they would start, telling me about Christianity. I eventually went to church. So for me, the knowledge was the conduit to eventually really sort of taking Christianity more seriously in more of a faith way and an understanding way. So don't you think that knowledge can be important in terms of getting people to lean in?
Well, knowledge is good in that we're like communicating now with knowledge. We're talking about this, and this is knowledge of God, that he does exist, right? There is a God. But you should not hold on to what is being said. It should just come and go so that understanding can come. And understanding and knowledge are not going to stay, they can't live together. And so you have to let it go and don't understand that. And I, I, I think, well, not I think, you are fortunate that you're not a Christian, because God has nothing to do with Christianity. He's not in Christianity at all. God is not in religion at all. And so a lot of people get stuck with religion. If you ask me what religion do I would be a part of, I'm a Christian. And if I have to tell you something, right? But uh, if you want to know God, you cannot identify with anything or anyone. As a matter of fact, do you want to know God?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
The way to know God is to never think about God. Stop thinking about him, because thinking about him is keeping you away from knowing him. And when you're thinking about him, all you're doing is thinking about what you learned about him, what you heard about him. the good feelings that come when you think about it. But all it's doing is just keeping you away from him. But when you don't think about him, you shall know him. Thinking about him is keeping him away from you.
Okay. So
What?
do you what no? Um, so Jesse, do you believe then in like do you believe that Jesus Christ was God?
Was God?
Yes.
No, he was, and he is the Son of God.
Right. So
He
you
and his
go on.
Father are one. His Father sent him here on earth so that he can make a sacrifice so that all who want it will receive eternal life. But he is the Son, he's not the Father.
Right. So you don't believe that Jesus Christ ever claimed to be God?
He never claimed to be God. The
Okay.
people claim that he was God, but he never claimed to be God. It's like the people call Trump king, but Trump never said he was king. They call him king, but when they write history, they're going to lie and say that Trump called himself a king. Christ never called himself a king. Matter of fact, Christ said that don't worship me. Why are you doing this? It's not me. It's not me doing the work. It's the spirit of the Father that's in me doing the work. Don't greater works that what I'm doing that you shall do. Why would God tell you that you could do greater works than him? You know what I'm saying? And Jesus made that clear. But the people, because they're always looking for a hero, they're always looking for a ruler. They
Hmm.
call him king, they call him God, but he never called himself that at all.
So in terms of, I'm not going to like argue with you about your theology, but so in terms of the Trinity, you believe that they're the same essence. You have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, but you believe that the Father is the Son actually comes from the Father, and the Father is above the Son. They have a different essence, or
Um, I know for a fact, and without a doubt, that Jesus is the Son of God with God's Spirit in him. I know without a doubt, and you will find this out when you stop thinking,
Mhm.
that we have a teacher in us, and that teacher has the Spirit of God that teaches us all things without us having to be taught by someone else or learn by someone else. It teaches us all things, but it can't do it until you stop trusting the intellect, until you stop trusting thoughts. All thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. And the teacher would take over and he would teach and reveal all things to you. He's a teacher that's sent to us by God, but he is not God.
Interesting. I mean, um, I
He
guess
has God's nature, though. He
yeah.
has perfect love. He's a perfect teacher.
I mean, it's interesting because last thing I guess on this whole thinking thing, we could go all day about this, but I'll wrap it up here. Before, when I asked you about why you asked those questions, that what I got from that is that you were essentially saying that people don't understand why they know what they know. You I guess we were talking about like epistemology there. People don't understand the knowledge that they have. They don't understand why they think that or how they got that knowledge or anything like that. So you're asking questions to make them sort of think a little bit deeper about the things that they know, and therefore that would cause them to think more about the knowledge that they have, to ask meta questions about the knowledge. So that seems like an exercise in knowledge to me, but at the same time you're saying stop thinking. So I just like I don't know how I can quite marry those two things.
When people examine themselves to really see what's going on with self, they're going to realize that they don't have perfect peace. Knowing God has not worked for them. Everything they've asked God for was never from God because it's always end up not being what they thought that they wanted. It's never perfect. And so they got to realize, you know what? I haven't even been praying to God. I've been asking Satan, thinking of him to God. They're going to get to see what's going on with them rather than thinking about what's going on with them. There's a
Mm.
light inside of us all. And when you overcome the darkness of thoughts, the light will shine and it will show you everything about you and about the world around you, about other people. But
Mm.
as long as you're thinking, though, you're never going to see that. And so when I have people ask questions or point out things, I'm doing it in a way where the light would come on for them too. The moment they pause and question, oh yeah, is that true or not? The light would come on and the light would take over if they stay with it.